Well, I had made my first film in 2008, and it was at festivals in 2009, and I was 23 when we shot it, and I was 24 and 25 when it was playing at festivals, and I was very young. I was just 3 years out of graduating from university, and I was very proud of myself because I had wanted, since I was a teenager, to direct a feature on 16 millimeter and screen it at festivals. And I felt very happy and very content. And then immediately, as soon as I finished this, I realized that I had all these friends my entire life, and they had always had these same types of goals, things that you wanted to do since you were 13, 14, 15 years old. And all of a sudden, I had done this thing that I wanted to do forever. And there weren't a lot of other people that were my age that had quit their job and done the same idea, which is to, just do exactly what you'd always wanted to. And then I just noticed that I felt very disconnected and lost from these people. And that basically is the theme of Color Wheel, and that was where the idea for doing it came from, just having made this one film and being out there with it and looking around and realizing how many people I had lost in my life. And I wanted to do a story about two people that had lost each other. And I felt if you did it about friends, that wouldn't be very interesting. I've seen that movie before, so I decided, what's a new way to do this story? And I felt we should do it about siblings, which was something that I had not seen as many times in a film.
Hello, kind sir, and God bless. We are going to need one room for the night. The cheapest room you've got, please.
The cheapest room we have is the smallest.
Okay.
It's a single. And we don't allow co-eds to cohabitate unless they are married.
It had been said that Carlin and I resembled brother and sister, and I had seen her in a film called You Won't Miss Me that's directed by the girl that plays my character's girlfriend at the beginning and end of Color Wheel, and I quite liked her in that movie, and I really liked the film itself. And then I saw her perform stand-up comedy at a show hosted by our friend, and I just felt that the other voice in the movie could be hers, and that could be an interesting dynamic, because the movie is about two people that are completely on opposite ends of the spectrum and are constantly arguing with one another. It was important to have two people creating those voices, because if it had just been written by one person, it would have been very hard to set up two very different voices that can argue with each other. So she came in and, helped write her own dialogue by rewriting, every line so that it was perfect for her, and making sure that the character was, as different from the brother character as possible. My first film, Impolex, was shot on 16 millimeter. My cinematographer, Sean Williams, and we just love 16 millimeter. Additionally, it's just important to the story. The film is a sort of nostalgic road trip through anonymous highways and rest stops and diners in America. And in order to tell that story, we felt that it needed to be grainy black and white, because when your memory suggests a photograph you may have seen once or an old film you may have seen set in the same world, it's probably going to be black and white. And if you watch the film and you see, in the first 5 minutes, these black and white highways and the grain, all of a sudden you're not thinking, well, this is just another modern story about young people today. You're thinking, well, this reminds me of something old that I've seen. This reminds me of a certain sense of the past. And we wanted viewers to have that feeling immediately in the film. So we felt that if you just presented them with a simple grainy black and white image, then their mind would go right where we wanted it to as soon as possible.
So, who invited you? Oh, my bad.
For the party scene, I just wanted to, towards the end of the film, have a series of moments where finally you start to see just how alone the two main characters are, and to create a situation where everybody is against them. We felt that a scene like that, occurring just before the climax of the film, would get the audience really on the sides of the main characters and would make anyone watching the film feel very bad for both the brother and the sister, and really see just how sad and lonely they are. And we felt that that was the perfect way to set up the conclusion of the film.
Nice shirt.
And the ending was always there before there was anything else. The first time I ever spoke to Carlin about wanting to do this movie, I said, this is what it's about. These are the themes. It's about a brother and sister. I don't know anything about it, but I know what happens at the end. And she was intrigued by that. It wasn't something that we added to make, a shocking surprise. It was something that was always a part of the idea. And knowing that at the very beginning allowed us to, in the script, put clues and suggestions throughout the entire film, because we always knew exactly where it was going to end up.
That's so bleak.
Yeah, I guess
and
maybe a
pathetic.
better idea is just to do what you do. Sleep until noon, leave the house 3 days a week,
What are you
deplete your
talking
savings while you
about?
chase down pathetic
It's my
weather girl
money.
jobs.
It's
Yeah,
my
your
money. I
money.
can
It's
do
never
whatever I
coming
want
back.
with
Yeah,
it.
just spend it. It's never going to come back.
Auditions take a lot of time. It's
Yeah,
not
a
like
lot
I'm
of time.
doing
A couple hours a
nothing.
day in between all the daydreaming and the napping. You leave
I
the house
do
3 days a
stuff.
week. I got news for you. I don't know why you think you're so special.
Because I am
Everyone in the
special.
world. I don't know why you think you're so special that you don't have to work and everybody else does. You make me, mom, dad, and my girlfriend sick to our stomachs every single time you come up in conversation.
Happy birthday to you.
It was incredibly difficult to do everything at the same time. It's almost impossible. And it's not by choice. It's not that I think it's fun to be the only producer on set, the only person who's dealing with the locations and directing the other actors and the camera, and also getting into character to perform. It's terrible. It's a lot of stuff for one person to do. And it was kind of not a choice to do. I just couldn't find anybody else to participate. There's really nothing about it that's fun or easy, except as you were saying, the relationship with Sean behind the camera, because our relationship, we've now done 2 films together, is based very much on trust. And I really don't need to communicate with him more than just a little bit in order for him to know what I want and for him to get it, or for me to not communicate with him at all and for him to do something while I'm busy with something else and then say, is this what you want? And then the answer is almost always, yes, it is. We don't have the time or money to have a monitor on the film, so I'm not looking at any of the footage. I don't see any of it, even being in front of the camera. So my only perspective is from what I've seen within the scene. So I just have to rely on his opinion, and if he says you're gonna like this, I think we're good, then we move on. And if he says you're definitely not going to be happy with this, then we'll shoot it again. And I trust him so much that if he keeps saying you're definitely not going to be happy, then we should keep going. I never say, no, I think that'll be good. If he sees through the camera something that he knows for my taste and his own taste is good, then I think we're probably good. And that's the only thing that made doing so many jobs on this film easy, was knowing that I didn't have to worry about him being difficult or not doing his job properly. It was just I knew he could be trusted to do exactly what I wanted all the time. And that's a valuable relationship when you're doing 4 or 5 jobs on the set. For a lot of American independent films, you make them and you hope that you can even get them into a few festivals at home, and there are certainly many in America that people in other countries haven't necessarily heard of, just as there are festivals in other countries Americans haven't heard of. But you can succeed on certain terms and do very well if you play at a lot of American festivals. And we certainly played at many. Between April and December of 2011, we probably played at 15 festivals in America, which is nice because you make a film that's small, that is perhaps a little difficult, that isn't for everybody, and you never think this could be distributed in many cinemas and this could be seen by thousands of people. You think, festivals are where films like this really live, and distribution is a dream. Around the middle of last year, the film was accepted into the Locarno Film Festival. which really started a whole second life because it's a huge festival, 65 years old, and they only show about 4, 5 American films. So few American films of this size get released in other countries, and it's funny doing interviews. All the journalists ask about the same 3 or 4 films from the last few years, because those are the only ones that have gotten released or any sort of festival awareness in other countries that appeals to foreign audiences more so than some other American films that don't end up having this second life at international festivals or international distribution. And it's really exciting to be a part of, what in Kaiju Cinema they say is, a movement of DIY New York filmmakers, and to be included in that is an incredible honor, and it's very exciting.